Hello everyone, welcome to my class today. Today we'll see another topic in the cardiovascular system. Okay, so there is a condition called rheumatic heart disease. Okay, this is one of the important disease of the heart and it is also more common in people. So rheumatic heart disease, it is one of a chronic autoimmune disorder. Okay, autoimmune disorder means that our body immune system will start acting against our own body cells. Okay, auto is self, so our own immune system in some condition it starts acting against our body cells and they start producing the disease like inflammation, and disease is called as rheumatic heart disease. Okay, so in definition, it is an autoimmune disease and it is a chronic condition that is caused by microorganisms which can infect the heart. Okay, so when you see the causes, so the first main cause is it is a group A streptococcus. Okay, so this is also called as gas. Okay, so this bacteria it enters through the respiratory tract and then they initially cause pharyngitis. Okay, pharyngitis means it is called inflammation of the pharynx. Okay, so it is so when you see the respiratory tract, so through the nose they enter and this area is the pharynx. So here the microorganism will cause infection. So after 2 to 3 weeks the person pharyngitis may get cleared. Okay, so that means he may be treated for pharyngitis, but after 2 to 3 weeks these microorganisms like they start producing antibody in our body and these antibody they start destroying our own cells. Okay, so later, so initially there will be like a pharyngitis where the patient will cause fever, that is called rheumatic fever, and later these microorganisms can migrate into the joints and cause rheumatic arthritis, and finally they can also enter the blood, and when the blood is moving, it is circulating, it goes to the heart, and in the heart they will cause rheumatic heart disease. Okay, so this is how the microorganism will cause the infection. Okay, so it may be due to group A streptococcus, and next is it is more common in person who are between 5 to 15 years of age. Okay, so in these children, because of their developing immune system, so there is abnormal multiplication of this that is the abnormal production of these immune cells which are targeted against our own body cells. Okay, so mostly 5 to 15 years, that is young adults, are more prone for getting this infection, and it is also an autoimmune disease. That means our own body system will start fighting with our own body cells, and it can be due to any genetic history. Okay, so if there is any family, in a family, if one person is having the rheumatic heart disease, then it can transmit to the children, and it can be more common in low and middle class society. Okay, so because of their poor socioeconomic status, there is a crowding, and also low that is nutrition is also lack of enough proteins and etc. So where the body microorganism can easily spread in this society. Okay, so okay, final cause is the poor hygienic practices. So if the person is not following hygienic practice like hand hygiene or respiratory hygiene, that is when coughing, he has to close the mouth and cough. So like that, if the person is not following the respiratory hygiene and hand hygiene, other poor hygienic practices, then they can get infected. So because of poor hygienic practices also rheumatic heart disease can occur. Okay, next coming to the pathophysiology of rheumatic heart disease. So this can be due to invasion of a group A hemolytic streptococcus. So this is gas infection which can enter through the respiratory tract. So that is first it will enter through the respiratory tract and they cause activation of the immune response. Okay, that means our immune system will start producing antibodies in order to destroy the microorganism. Okay, that is the antigen which is coming. So they start producing the immune response, and in this process there is some inflammatory mediators or nothing but chemicals they will produce in order to destroy the microorganism, and microorganism also starts producing chemicals in order to destroy our body cells. Okay, so that time there will be inflammation and irritation causing due to the chemicals. They cause inflammation and irritation of the pharynx, which is called as pharyngitis. Okay, so after pharyngitis, the delayed sequelae of events. Okay, that means later after 2 to 3 weeks, that is the microorganisms will start dying, but the inflammatory mediators and our antibodies, they produce some events. Okay, that is they form some complements in the body, that is called delayed sequence of events takes place after 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, so after 2 to 3 weeks the microorganisms grow slowly, multiply, and then they gain access to the joints and the vascular system. So in the joints they cause rheumatoid arthritis, in the vascular system they will enter into the heart. Okay, so the organism then enters into the heart and lodge in the endocardium. Okay, so endocardium is the inner lining of the heart. So when the blood is touching the endocardium, these microorganism can easily lodge in the endocardial layer of the heart. Okay, and in the endocardial layer they form bacterial vegetation. Okay, so bacterial vegetation is nothing but the bacteria will start growing and forming like tissues like that in that endocardia, that is the fibrous tissue and other tissue will start forming. So that is called bacterial vegetation takes place in the endocardial layer of the heart. Okay, and because this is a abnormal vegetation, the fibrin materials, okay, that means the platelets and the fibrin materials in the blood, they come and deposit on the valve leaflets. Okay, because the inner lining of, so when you see the heart is like this. Okay, so the endocardium is very attached to the walls. Okay, so you can know here there is a on the right side there is a tricuspid valve, on the left side there is a bicuspid valve. Okay, so the inner lining of the heart, that is the endocardium, is very closely attached to this layers, and when the person's endocardial layer is affected, even this valves also will get affected. Okay, so that is fibrin deposits takes in place in the valve leaflets. Okay, so these valves which are giving a leaf like structure is called as valve leaflet. Okay, so in that area they start producing complex lesion. So lesion means like a wound they form in the area, so and they will close the commissure. Commissure is the opening of the valves. Okay, so in the opening of the valves, because of the fibrous complex lesion, the valves will start closing. So that is called fusion of the commissure. Fusion means the valves are closing. Okay, fused is joined together, and because of that there will be valve deformities and valvular dysfunction. Okay, so that means this, so you know when the blood is coming from the right atrium to the right ventricle, then the tricuspid valve has to open in order to send the blood from the atrium to the ventricle. Okay, but here due to fusion there won't be adequate opening, so adequate blood will not come, and then there will be problem in the circulation. Okay, so this is what happens in the pathophysiology. And next, coming to the clinical manifestations. Okay, so in clinical manifestation the patient will have signs and symptoms, that is Askoff bodies. Okay, Askoff bodies are fibrous histologic nodule formed by the fibrous scar tissue accompanied by swelling. Okay, so that is you can see in rheumatoid patients here and there in the body there will be, so mainly on the joints area there will be swelling. So these fibrous histologic nodules, as I already said, it is due to bacterial vegetation. This can occur in the heart and also in any of the joints. So these patients usually they have nodules here and there in the body, that is called as Askoff bodies. Okay, and next they can show signs of carditis, that is inflammation of the heart, where the person will have heart murmurs. Murmurs is abnormal heartbeat, and patient can have chest pain and then the pericardial friction rub. Okay, so chest pain is due to valvular dysfunction, and there is problem in the valves to function. And pericardial friction rub is when the endocarditis is not functioning properly due to the infection. Even the myocardium and the pericardial layer also will get, there will be fibrous deposition in the pericardial layer also, where pericardium will be stiffened. So at that time you can hear the sound like pericardial friction rub. That is when you squeeze two papers like this. Okay, so when you do paper like this, you will hear the sound, that is called pericardial friction rub. And next patient will have polyarthritis. Okay, so this is nothing but joint infection. So here patients joints will have, there here and there all the joints, most of the joints will be swelling, and warmth is heat or touch, the temperature in that area will be more, and redness, tenderness. So redness is red changes, tenderness is painful on touch in the joints and the nodules. And then there will be mobility limitation. That means patient will have, because of the nodules, there will be stiffness in the joints and the patient will have limited movement. Okay, and next the patient can also have chorea. Chorea is involuntary movement in the face and the limbs. Okay, so this is like fits like, but it's not like a fit, but there will be some abnormal involuntary movement. So there will be some twitching of face or limb movement, that is called chorea. And next is erythema marginatum. Okay, so erythema marginatum is there will be lesions with marked lesions. Okay, so that means there will be bright pink, non-pruritic means there won't be itching, and map like. Okay, some border area will be there with like a map. And macular lesions. Okay, macular is some color change, like white color lesions will be present on trunk, is on the chest and in the extremities. Okay, on the upper body and the extremities you can see some patches, that is called erythema marginatum. Okay, so this all because of small blood vessels are obstructed with the nodules. Okay, that fibrous tissues, fibrous nodules are obstructing the blood vessels. Because of that there will be extravasation of blood, which will cause like a bright pink lesions. Okay, and there will be subcutaneous nodules. Okay, so that is also painless, small, firm, hard swellings on the joints, knees, wrist and elbow. Okay, in all the joints, because patient can go for arthritis also. And the last stage will be rheumatic heart disease. So this all you can see in the patients with the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, otherwise patient will also have fever. Okay, and sore throat if he is having a if he is having the infection, that is pharyngitis, he can also have a sore throat. And next is diagnostic criteria. So in diagnostic criteria, so mainly you have to see whether the rheumatoid is a like it is a major criteria or minor criteria. Okay, whether the patient has progressed to heart disease, but it, or if the patient is still in a rheumatic fever. Okay, so that means if it is a major criteria, then the person will show this carditis symptom, that is all the chest pain and pericardial friction rub. And polyarthritis means there will be joint swelling, joint pain and joint limitation. And chorea is involuntary movement of the face and the limbs. Erythema marginatum is like map like bright pink non-pruritic lesions. And subcutaneous nodule is joint swelling. Okay, so this all you will be seeing if the patient is having a major. Okay, that means the rheumatic heart disease is in a major condition. That means it is in a severe stage, patient can develop valvular dysfunction and immediate treatment is needed. Okay, and in case Jones minor criteria. Okay, minor criteria means the patient has not progressed to rheumatic heart disease. So at that time patient will have fever is increased temperature, and polyarthralgia, that is pain in the joints. Okay, so pain in joints. And in the blood test you will be counting the WBC is, that is white blood cell count, will be high. So this will show there is an infection. And ESR is erythrocyte sedimentation rate. This is also high in case of infection. And this C reactive protein. So this is always high whenever there is an autoimmune disease which is causing an infection. Okay, so these are the two major criteria you have to identify in the diagnostic studies. Okay, so other normal routine studies like history and physical examination will be done. So this will show if the patient is having a fever or if he is having a family history of rheumatic fever or rheumatic heart disease. So this you can identify in history, and physical examination you can see whether it is a major or a minor criteria. Okay, so with this you can identify, and next you will be doing a lab finding. So in this you will be doing complete blood count. So again, as I already said, WBC will be high, ESR will be high, and CRP will be high. Okay, that is C-reactive protein will be high. And next we have to do a chest x-ray. So in this, if the patient has progressed to valvular dysfunction, then the blood will accumulate in the heart. Okay, that means, so if there is a heart and the valves are not functioning properly, so in case if this valve is dysfunction, blood from right atrium cannot go to the right ventricle, so there will be accumulation of blood in the previous chamber. So when the previous chamber is getting bulged, the heart size will be enlarged. Okay, so you can see cardiomegaly, which means enlarged size of the heart can be seen in the chest x-ray. And echocardiogram. Okay, so other studies are echocardiogram. So here also you can see if the valves are functioning properly. Okay, so valve, to identify the valvular function, that means if the blood is moving from one chamber to the next chamber, that you can identify using a echocardiogram. If the valves are not functioning, there will be stenosis or fusion of the commissures, then the that will be seen in the echocardiogram. Okay, and next you have to see a ECG. So in ECG you can see abnormal changes, that is called dysrhythmia. Okay, so dysrhythmia is abnormal ECG rhythm will be there. So maybe patient will have an atrial fibrillation or a ventricular tachycardia. So according to the patient's valve, how much it is functioning, patient will show this changes in the rhythm. Okay, and then because it is an autoimmune disorder, we have to do a two special study called anti-nuclear antibody test. Okay, anti-nuclear antibody and anti-nuclear cytoplasmic antibody. Okay, so these are all specific for autoimmune diseases, mainly like rheumatic heart disease. Okay, anti-nuclear antibody is called ANA, and this is ANCA. So these two will be present. So these antibodies are present in the blood, then it is confirmed for autoimmune disease, and it can be a rheumatic heart disease. Okay, and finally the treatment for this patient is mainly we have to treat with penicillin. So it is an antibiotic because main problem is patient is having infection, so you have to treat the infection. And next we can give NSAIDs like salicylates. So these salicylates can treat the inflammation. So again, to treat inflammation we give salicylate. And corticosteroids, so these are all potent steroids. So steroids can immediately treat inflammation. So prednisolone and hydrocortisone is given. And immunosuppressive therapy, so because I said it is an autoimmune disorder, so our immune system is itself fighting with our own body cells. So to suppress the immune system, we give cyclophosphamide. And we have to provide adequate bed rest for the patient, because if the heart is not functioning properly, there won't be enough oxygen to the body tissues, and body tissues cannot survive. Okay, so we have to give bed rest so that the patient is not exerted more. And encourage and teach for good hygienic practices. So we have to teach all the respiratory hygiene, how to hand wash and how to wear the mask, all those things you have to teach for the patient. And also you have to give adequate diet for the person. Okay, so even if there is a low calorie, then the immune system can get destroyed. So you have to take adequate calories, and small and frequent diet has to be advised. Okay. In prevention, advise the patient to follow all the hygienic practices, and also to keep their environment and their surroundings clean. And you have to tell the person to go for proper diagnosis. That means early diagnosis can be treated early, so you have to tell them to proper diagnosis. And these patients may need a lifelong antibiotic therapy. So all those things you have to explain the person carefully. Okay, so this is about today's class. I hope you would have understood my class. Please like, share, subscribe, and also click the notification button for regular update of my videos. Thank you for watching.